Well, hey, good morning and happy Friday. Yeah, that's right. It is Friday. But you know what? I think I'm just now saying that out of habit because I enjoy every day. Okay, that's pretty cheesy. But welcome to the Blue Gamer Bluecast Morning Show. I'm your host, Adam Blue, 30 plus year video game enthusiast and industry analyst. And today, for February 13th, 2026, have I been saying 2025 still? I don't know. We'll be going through the latest gaming news, what I've been playing, et cetera, et cetera. And if you don't know, I also been streaming on, instead of here, it's been on the Gundam Explain channel on Tuesdays, Thursdays. Um, I miss streaming here every day, but I a lot more I get a lot more viewers on the Gundam Explain, and then there's crossover like Ultronymous, JMKLX, Jonas. There's a lot of you guys that crossover anyway, so it's cool. I don't want to leave people out, but I want to be able to get more people in. So anyway, as I go, if you guys ever have any recommendations, suggestions, let me know. So yesterday was the Sony State of Play, and I was even debating if I wanted to live stream it because it would be at 4 near the end of my workday, but um, just work has just been just busy enough where it was better that I, just kind of kept it on in the background. But it was pretty cool that I missed some things. I was kind of watching it, missed some things, but um, the Castlevania stuff it was almost expected in a way, and I'll get to it actually. It takes me back, but let's maybe jump into what I've been playing. And actually, I just got an idea. I'm gonna do something real quick, because if it works, it could be interesting. Bu- yeah, there we go. But I don't know if I was necessarily playing. Okay. Anyway, a little surprise for later if all pans out. Let's go to what I've been playing. It actually hasn't been a lot, but actually I have played something. I just don't know if it would update on here. Um, well, I'll just say it. I wake up super early in the morning. I had some time this morning, a little bit, and played about I don't know 12 minutes of Xenoblade Chronicles 2 because I hadn't touched it in a while since, according to this, February 8th. And again, I was saying I'm kind of not stuck, but I'm just at that beginning area, just kind of doing what I can. But I realized it's better that I move forward in the story. So I was doing that this morning. It's basically so I can then get all the crew I need to then go out and then really do the missions. But again, it's funny how much I play any of these Xenoblade games, especially 1 and 2, and it's that feeling of Ocarina of Time. When I 96, 97, whenever that came out on the N64, that was such an amazing experience, and it was very rare that I relived it. And even when I was playing like Majora's Mask, I it was still fun, but it wasn't the same. Wind Waker, I when that came out on GameCube, I was super disappointed. But what happened was that DNA was still being utilized. So it's very interesting that the developer of Xeno Gears, ended up aligning with it because we got to think of the time frame, right? And the direction different Japanese developers at that time evolved their games. Like you got, the things that went down the action path, the JRPG path. You can look at companies like Platinum or, those developers that were there and kind of see where it went. And it's interesting to see where the JRPG and the Ocarina of Time like sort of melded, because then that's where Breath of the Wild came from. I know this is an interesting conversation. I love diving into the evolution of game design and gameplay, and I've always loved the Zelda games so much, but I always felt like no other games have ever really done a good job of emulating what Zelda does. And not that it needs to happen, but I feel like it is possible for games to feel like other games on purpose. And again, I guess the point is Zelda, rarely can a game pull that off, but it's pulled off in a JRPG, a game, the Xenoblade games, the games where I don't care about um the that type of JRPG combat that type of JRPG combat that much, but exploration, everything. Anyway, I guess I was gonna be a little long-winded on a little philosophical discussion just because there's not much I've been playing. Again, I've been pretty busy. Um, let's and I guess also it's not that I've been so busy I can't play it. A lot of times I would be so busy during the day that when I'm done with work or whatever, sometimes I don't want to necessarily just play right away. Just because too, a lot of times I'm doing a lot of different new things right now that uses a lot of brain power. But let's jump right into the Sony State of Play from February. These are the things from Sony State of Play from February 12th, 2026 that I feel are the most important, I guess. I mean, I guess overall, I felt the show was pretty interesting. Just, it's very interesting. I feel just generally underwhelmed. I just think by now, and I don't know if this is an old man thing where I'm just not as surprised or excited about things as much anymore. Not in a bad way, but when it comes to like, okay, and let me get to it. So Sony dropped the God of War Sons of Sparta right then, a shadow drop right then on the show. And then I watched gameplay of it afterwards. I was watching actually David Jaffe, game developer of God of War. Part of God of War 1 and 2 and Legacy throughout the others, but he was playing it and it just even me watching it, it's like, well, this isn't a how would I explain it? This isn't like a really strong like 2D experience from what I see. It's not like it's doing anything when in terms of as a Metroidvania or a standard stage-based game. It looks very Metroidvania to me. It didn't seem to do anything exceptional there. Remember, this is Sony. This is their main IP. Um, and then even the graphics, while not bad, and I think I like them, it still seems very subdued for what. Like it's almost like it visually. There's nothing unique about it. Um, um, and then I guess what happens then is, and this is what is a problem with a lot of Sony games, is as I'm watching David Jaffe play, and he was getting frustrated about it. As he would be moving the game, it's always stopping to have dialogue, stopping to have story and dialogue. He would move, stop, and then he'd go into a new area, start moving, and it would happen again, which is fine. And games do that at the beginning, but it had a very, I would just say for me, you guys know me, I buy these and eat up these 2D games all the time. This did not look that great. Um, I don't know. And I don't, the developer has made some neat things, but they're not it's not like they tapped, a prestige team to work on this. And again, I don't mean anything rude to the developers of this, but you can tell they kind of cheaped out on this. Okay, and then there's the God of War trilogy remake, which they really just said is in development, and I think that's cool. I could see myself playing maybe the first one again. I don't know how interesting that is to me, really, but I think this is to kind of get a game out by the time the movie or TV show comes out, whatever that is. Okay, they showed a John Wick game, and to be honest, that looked pretty neat, but who really knows? Okay, so this is the big deal to me, and this is which one is it? Oh, it wasn't that one. Oh, I thought I had. Yeah, let me click here. It was the trailer for the Belmont's Curse. Okay. You guys know I like Castlevania a whole lot. Oh, Toronto, so we're saying I never realized Creator's Version of VA was from Living Single, and that was true. The biggest. Oh yeah, no, it was cool when. Yeah, I guess back then I knew maybe because I was always deep into that stuff, and I always found like, wow, it's that guy, yeah, from the TV show. But this guy has a very strong presence. Like he should be in like more movies to make use of that, and you just never see it, which is very interesting. Yeah, because that voice is so unique. But so Castlevania 40th, this is awesome. Exactly what I've been looking for. I'm glad they're looking to celebrate Castlevania, and they started it. by showing. Let me see.
In the name of his most
Well, actually, I'll have this up there. Okay.
the grace of
So I see Evil Empire Motion Twin, and let me tell you that, and it's like I knew. And I wonder if I said, here's something from 7 years ago, playing Dead Cells. And I knew I didn't. They could barely hear me talking. I need to go through this again sometime. And anyway, I'm thinking in one of these videos I had to have been saying, this is who needs to make a new Castlevania. And it was interesting how then they went and did the Rogue Prince of Persia, and I thought that was very interesting. I was like, okay. But Dead Cells did get Castlevania DLC. And then, so it was like inevitable. I knew this was going to happen. And it- I almost am kind of disappointed. So here's a couple things. Sometimes when a game, an Eastern developed game, Japanese developed game gets moved to a Western team, sometimes that will kill it. Not all the time. I have to try to think of some examples where that changed the game, the genre, whatever. But we had this happen before with the Castlevania games. In fact, its first death was giving it to Mercury Steam, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but we got through 3D games that were pretty cool. Then we got that one 2D game that, obviously it didn't do much because we never had Castlevania games. Since then, they even went back to Konami, the original team, when they would release the collections. They would then, the original, and when I say original team, internal developers at Konami or contractors that had been working on the games, like M2 or whatever, would then make these special Castlevania games, Haunted Castle Revisited, Rebirth, etc. And then we got that Grimoire of Souls on iOS, and it's actually not bad. I really wish they would just make that, which that could be what they do. Yeah, Harmony of Despair, I think, is another example where it's just they have an internal team doing something, but it's not like these mainline games. And then so we finally get a mainline game, but it's funny that it's from the Dead Cells developer. Because it's like when I was playing Dead Cells, like this is the best that 2D side-scrolling combat has been. I would love them to make a Castlevania. The thing is, my main thing is I don't really like the art style. This takes away from its Japanese roots in a way. And I don't know if that makes too much sense, but just more of, one, rooted in pixel art, which is not just a Japanese rooted thing, but that's kind of the foundation as they would then add onto the art style and be sort of realistic. In a way, this kind of goes almost to like a cartoon. It's going to be harder to take the horror elements of this Castlevania seriously because it is doing more abstract Disney cartoon things, like with the shapes of windows. And like look at how tall this window is in this one. Like there's not really any real function to what you're seeing other than for it to appear in this stylized way. Let's like even how the character moves, it's very much more of a like exaggerated cartoony instead of what the Castlevania games did was they did the pixel art animation in just a way to where you felt the animation as the character moved. That motion we're talking about. It started before Symphony of the Night, even though Symphony of the Night's famous for that. But Konami did a really good job of creating this pixel art animation that really felt like as you were moving your character, you were moving them. And the problem with Dead Cells and potentially how I'm seeing where the graphics are done on this, it's way too floaty and cartoony. Again, pulls away from that action horror, making it a little more goofy. So again, we're seeing a side-scrolling action Metroidvania, and I don't like things like this, Although, Castlevanias would have these sometimes. So let's just say this is just in one or two areas. But if a lot of the game, like the not Rogue Prince of Persia, but the Prince of Persia that came out before that, the Metroidvania, I can't think, the Lost Crown, I think, it was more obstacle Super Meat Boy based. I don't like Metroidvanias that do that. Castlevanias were never that. Yes, there might be a section where you need a certain item so you can get through it, but the game wouldn't be about platforming. So when I see like a lot of this stuff, it's like, oh, is it gonna circle around like because you have the whip now to swing. So is it gonna be very platformy? I mean, this looks cool. Like, and that artwork looks cool because this is not what we're seeing in the game, but if you look at this, it kind of evokes that anime look. But
Last of House.
it's a Western developed. Um, so, y- so I look at how they have it, Castlevania, the way it shows it. That's the original logo. Belmont's Curse, like when this could take place. They mentioned Trevor Belmont. Could this be the 1400s? So we had Sonia Belmont in Castlevania Legends that's no longer canon, but Sonia Belmont has long blonde braided hair. It looks exactly like this character. But Sonia Belmont in canon, through official Konami canon, this is where it gets cool in terms of story. They decided to remove Castlevania Legends and that character out of canon. I believe the character. I know for sure the game Legends that was on Game Boy. So this could just be the way. Oh, we're now going to bring the character back. This was the story they went through. So we're going to get the whip. We're going to get the arms. Going to have a power. We can see the glowing thing on the arm. So we'll see what the power is there. It's coming this year, which is awesome. And we're getting that Bloodstained 2, so a proper Igavania alongside a proper Castlevania, potentially. Yeah, Switch, not Switch 2, PS5, Steam, Xbox, all the platforms we'd expect. So I'm excited. I'm gonna play this day one, 100% for sure. I just am, and I didn't even touch on music. I'm not gonna go there yet, but I just hope this actually feels like a Castlevania game. I just hope it's a good game. And yeah, again, it doesn't actually necessarily, I should say, feel like a Castlevania game. I think some of the complaints I was making in comparing it to a Castlevania game was just saying how this is an example of a game doing it right. This is an example of a game doing it wrong. So I guess that's more my take. Because with all the time that I played Dead Cells, I never necessarily beat it. Yeah, 16 hours on Steam. Like, I think that's, for me, 16 hours is pretty good for the type of game Dead Cells is. I mean, that's more time than beating a Metroidvania. So, um, yeah, interesting. I'm glad I got to sort of talk about the Castlevania part and kind of deflate a little bit. But the other part, though, is with this announcement, it's like the 40th anniversary of Castlevania. And so the way they spoke about that, Konami at the show, which, by the way, had a lot, which was pretty awesome. Konami's back. If anything, Konami is back. But anyway, they were talking about it sounded like they have more Castlevania games that are coming out. And so a quick wish list of what I would want them to come out with is, since we've got this Belmont's Curse, and that's going to be a mainline Castlevania game, I don't see them doing another mainline Castlevania game. And the only reason I would say that is because I was actually hoping for a mainline Castlevania game from the internal Konami team. So I don't think they would do that. But the internal Konami team could be working on bringing the Castlevania Rebirth game to modern consoles, which was on the the Nintendo Wii Shop. I think it was just called the Wii Shop. Great game, love it. I think I have a stream of me playing through it and beating it, if I'm not mistaken. That we need a modern way to play it. The other one too happens to do with Symphony of the Night and Rondo of Blood. Dracula X Rondo of Blood. Symphony of the Night is currently only, I think you get backwards compatibility on Xbox. It's on PS4. Castlevania Requiem that comes with Rondo of Blood. That's Rondo of Blood, right? For some reason, I get those confused. And like iOS or Android, but they don't have a modern, proper PC or Switch port of Symphony of the Night, and that seems like that would be a big deal. And then you would think, oh, well, they would just show that off during the Nintendo Partner Showcase they just had. But I think Sony, because Konami had so much more, I think Sony wanted to secure that because of the Metal Gear. They wanted to make their state of play seem exclusive, even though these games are going to be multi-platform. And Konami has deep roots in PlayStation. They even talked about it there. But just with all the games, so I'm not a huge Silent Hill fan, but there's all those Silent Hill stuff. I'm not a huge Metal Gear Solid fan, but I've played more Metal Gear games than Silent Hill games. Tons of Metal Gear stuff. And then the Castlevania stuff. The only thing they didn't have is Gradius stuff, but they did that last year. So I'm fine with them taking a year off. So Konami is back, in my opinion. Konami is now back up there with Capcom in terms of, maybe Capcom has had more and bigger output for a long period of time recently, but, Konami's working on the cylinders they were working on back in the 90s. So that's really cool. Anything else to really bring up about that? No, just can't wait to see what other Castlevania stuff they have coming. Okay, sequel to Kenna Bridge of Spirits called Kenna Scars of Cosmora. I had a lot of fun playing Bridge of Spirits. Let's look that up. Kenna. Let's see. It doesn't say how many hours I played, but I got 20 out of 41 of the, which I bet I could look it up on the Epic Games Store and add the playtime. Let me do that as we're talking, because it would be pretty cool if I can get that in there to track it and then, go in and update it. Wait for the Epic Store to launch. Wow, slow. Yeah. Yeah, there was other things. Death Stranding 2 coming to PC. That's cool. I didn't buy it on PlayStation. I kind of wanted to, but oh, you know what? There's another thing that's a big deal, but first let me see if I can get the playtime. If it does that. I don't know. Let's see. Library. Oh my gosh, I don't know how to use the Epic Game Store. So, here's the other thing: Dead or Alive. So I have Dead or Alive 6. I'm pretty sure I have it on PlayStation 5. It's that or Xbox. I have one of them on Xbox, the 5th. Yeah, maybe it's the 5th on Xbox and 6 on PlayStation. Anyway, I didn't read it, but apparently, let me look it up actually. Dead or Alive 6. Is it that it's getting an update? Let me go to news. Because it's already out. So does that mean that, oh my gosh, all these ads. Okay. A remaster. Okay. A remaster of the 6th entry PS5, but also bringing a definitive version of Dead or Alive 6. It not only brings the game to PS5, but it also has DLC to main roster, blah, blah, blah. You'll be able to play either version. Okay, so yeah, it is a free-to-play version. So is this going to be a completely separate Dead or Alive than the Dead or Alive 6 on PS4? Like, are they really doing that? Where even if you have it on PS4, you're going to have to buy it again for PS5. I'm curious to see what that is. I will keep you guys updated on that. But the other cool thing too is announcing a new game, which is great. I didn't play 5 or 6 when they first came out. It's pretty crazy how I went through that little period of completely not playing those. I just hope with this new one it does something to stand out, because after playing 4, I almost felt like I had played enough Dead or Alive, because once I got to 4, I was playing online a lot. Actually, I wonder if it goes back that far, because that was in the 2000s, where I don't think this tracked. Yeah, I got Dead or Alive 6. I got 7 hours into that. Yeah. Oh, so it looks like I have it on Xbox and okay. So Dead or Alive 4. Just 10 out of complete all story modes. Let's see. And the extreme games, I didn't play those much because there's really not much to do, and then there's just the beach volleyball resort things. Yeah, so I guess it's just not showing. Although it's interesting, it shows 4. That's pretty cool. Yeah, when it shows 2011 on a game like that, that's just because that's the earliest date the system, I think, reports. So, and then other than that, I got some PlayStation classics that were added. Oh. And I guess some other things: Ghost of Yotei Legends, blah blah blah. Bad Robot Games shares For Loop. Did I not see this? Maybe I missed this one. Where's the? I can't even click.
Hi, I'm Mike.
Yeah, we're not going to listen to that. Pragmata demo available. Leon returned. Blah blah blah. Okay, this Legacy of Kain Defiance remastered, that actually looked pretty interesting. I can't remember what ones I played back on the PlayStation. No, Dreamcast. But this looks very familiar, with like the 2 guys. I don't know. That looks fun. I mean, it's fun along with the God of War remasters coming. It's like getting kind of that classic action video game. Hey, here's an RPG. I don't remember seeing that. And it's interesting to see how much of this. Oh, it wasn't on stream. Oh, interesting. It's interesting how much of this is really just multi-platform, which is completely fine. But just, I guess that's a cool thing about watching the State of Play. It's games in general, not just PlayStation. See you, Chris. And then Mina Holler. Oh, a demo. Okay, I didn't know about that. Shinobi Ops. Project Windless. That looked pretty interesting. It just looks like a cool chicken action game. Does that make sense? So let me kind of get to a. So it seems to be based on some Korean mythology, apparently, and you're a bird, and it's an action RPG. I don't know if it's more Souls-like or what, or Dynasty Warriors, just because of the large enemy types. But I think there's room for Souls-likes to feel Dynasty, or a Dynasty Warriors game to have more Souls-like elements in terms of combat. Yeah, that looks fun. Angry Rooster, the game. That's one pissed off rooster. That's one angry cock. That's really the tagline. Okay. All right. So this looks fantastic. I think even from with the Switch 2 coming out, I've been playing tons of racing games recently. They've been a lot of fun. What was that one called? I forget what it was called. The one that was Fast RMX or something like that on Switch. Anyway, this kind of has that same vibe, because this is like supposed to be like super fast. Let's go. Come on, guys. Okay. Yeah, and it feels just like that game on Switch, and I wonder. Oh, I think the developers are Criterion, if I'm not mistaken. So that's more Burnout developers, but so that's what's cool. It's not necessarily like pod racing only type. It's just fast Star Wars vehicles in the Star Wars universe. And to be honest, I would play this even if it wasn't Star Wars in the Star Wars universe. But I will say that this, it's like, I don't know how to explain it. Like, this is something in the Star Wars universe that this is cool. This makes sense. I could totally play this and enjoy the Star Warsness of it while, doing this type of gameplay. Anyway, that was just a quick run through. Oh, there's so many more things to talk about, but not all of it's really that interesting, but there's a lot of really cool stuff. In fact, at the end of the day, there's a lot of exciting gaming stuff coming out this year. So I'm excited about that. So anyway, guys, I'm going to head out, be back Monday with some more. Until then, have a good one. We'll talk later. See you.